Buenos dias and welcome everyone to Inside Rugby with Mark. That's me, Mark. I'm a Kiwi guy, huge rugby fan living here in beautiful Cancun in Mexico. And I'm going to talk to you about the 2025 Rugby Championship All Black squad that was named in New Zealand by Scott Robertson. So I'm going to give you the squad. We'll go through it together. I want to hear your opinions. I'm going to give you my opinions. And then we'll see where we end up at the end of it. So let's get into it right now. Okay, so let's get into the squad, and as many of you will know, there's been plenty of injuries going on in the All Blacks. I'm not going to harp on about that. I'm going to talk about the squad that has been named and talk about some of my views around some of these players, and I'd love to hear your views as well. So let's get into it. We'll start off in the forwards and we'll go straight to the hookers. And we've got Cody Taylor, Takiaho and Brodie McAllister. And three good hookers there. Cody Taylor, I think, is playing some of the best rugby of his career at the moment. I think he's by a long way the best hooker in New Zealand rugby, and looking forward to him having a very strong rugby championship. We're going to have to see him doing a lot in open play too, I feel, not only in the set pieces, but watch out for Cody Taylor. I think he's going to be one of the instrumental players in the All Black team. Then moving on to the props, we're going to see Ethan de Groot, Tamaiti Williams, Ollie Norris, Tyrell Lomax, Fletcher Newell and Tossie. That's right. Now, a couple of question marks here. Of course, we're not sure when Lomax is going to come back. He's injured, of course. He's not travelling to Argentina. So there's a little bit of a tip-off for a start. And we'll have to see how the All Blacks go in the other propping positions. Tamaiti Williams, I hope they're not rushing him back too soon. That's one of my concerns with these injured players. Are they going to be rushing them back before they're ready? Because, of course, that can be a double jeopardy. We could see a longer injury term for those players, and that's the last thing we want to see, not only for All Black fans but for rugby fans in general. So I think the All Black props are very good. I've got a good feeling about the set piece for the All Blacks this year. I think their tight five is coming together very, very nicely, and I think we're going to be able to take on anyone in the Rugby Championship up front with this tight five. There you go, there's my prediction around that lot. Okay, moving on to the locks, and we're going to see Scooter Barrett back at some stage in the Rugby Championship. Going to be interesting to see how Scott Robertson plays him now, but I don't have any doubts that he's going to be starting the games. We're going to see also Patrick Tuipulotu. We're going to see Tupou Vai, who's been named as a lock, and that's a bit of a asterisk there, I think. And of course, we're going to see Fabian Holland in there as well, who was the standout player for me throughout the All Black series against France. He played all the games, he played exceptionally well, and he cemented his place in there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Scott Barrett and Fabian Holland starting that first game against Argentina in Cordoba, which is coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Okay, so Tupou Vai in there as a lock. Well, we know that they've been experimenting with him in the number 6 jersey. Is that going to continue? I suspect it will, but we'll have to see how they manage it when they're on tour. That's going to be an interesting play. And we've also got to think about the Springboks in the back of our mind, don't we, as well, in terms of how much game time these players get. Are they going to be exposed to injury? Are they coming back from an injury? There's a lot of question marks, isn't there, around a number of players in this All Black team and the selections that could be used. So there's the locks. Let's move on to the loose forwards now. And throughout the Rugby Championship, we are likely to see Finau, Simon Parker, we'll talk about him in a second, Ardie Savea, Duplessis Karefi, Wallace Satiti, Peter Lakai's back, and Luke Jacobson's in there as well. So a couple of things around these loose forwards. First of all, Finau's been given another go. We'll have to see whether he can finally show that beast of a player that he can be. We need to see that test after test for him to really cement himself in there. Simon Parker's a bolter, and for a lot of people that aren't All Black fans, watch out for this guy. He's going to be something extraordinary, I think, in the future. He's the All Blacks answer to Peter Steph Toy. And if you look at their stacks, you'll find out that Simon Parker is only a couple of centimetres shorter, but he's actually bigger than Peter Steph Toy. And I tell you what, this is going to be a phenomenal player for the All Blacks come the 2027 Rugby World Cup. So I hope we get to see Simon Parker throughout this Rugby Championship getting plenty of game time. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see him in Argentina. There you go, there's my tip on that one. For the rest of the loosies, well, Ardie Savea picks himself, Wallace Satiti picks himself again. Wallace Satiti in that injury, we need to be careful with that and manage him accordingly. So it's going to be interesting to see when and where he is going to be used as we head up to that Springboks game. And Peter Lakai's back, which is good to see. He's been out through an injury for a while. Luke Jacobson, of course, got injured prior to the game against France in that third test match in Hamilton. He's back in the squad again as well. So some really good loose forwards there. I think the All Blacks are starting to nail this position. Are they going to use Tupou Vaa'i in that 6th jersey? Love to hear from you on this one. Basing my opinion that we're going to see Ardie Savea in number 7 and Wallace Satiti in number 8 for the longer term in this Rugby Championship. Love to hear. So that's the forwards done and dusted. Now let's move on to the backs. And in the halfbacks, well, this is where the crisis is happening a little bit for the All Blacks, with both Cam Roigard and Noah Hotham injured at the moment, and possibly long-term injuries. But of course they've been named in the squad because they will have injury covers, but they are there, and well, we'll have to wait and see how quickly they get through their rehab and back on the field. But I don't think it's going to be a short-term thing. And with Cam Roigard having a stress fracture in his foot, been there, done that, like many of you probably have as well, and they're nuisance injuries to get right, aren't they? You can come back a little bit too soon from those, and it causes major problems. So we'll have to see what the All Blacks do around their halfbacks. But those are the 3 halfbacks that have been named in the squad with some injury cover. I'll talk about that shortly in the video. Then moving on to the number 10s, and of course it's Beauden Barrett and Damien McKenzie. You all know what I feel about those two in terms of Barrett starting the game and McKenzie coming off the bench. However, I think New Zealand needs to continue to grow their depth of number 10s. I don't see enough number 10s coming through this All Black squad. If Beauden Barrett picks up a serious injury, then we're in trouble in terms of not only our playmaker but a senior leader around the field for the All Blacks making the right decisions. And I'd really like to see the All Blacks developing another 10. Okay, let's move on to the midfield now. And as you already know, if you've been watching my videos, this is where an area I've got question marks over the All Blacks when it comes to their midfield competency at world-class level. And who's been named in this squad? Well, we start off with Anton Leonard-Brown. I heard that he picked up an injury over the weekend, and if you can let me know in the comments if that is true or not. We'll have to wait and see whether Anton Leonard-Brown has injured himself yet again. So along with Anton Leonard-Brown, we've got Geordie Barrett, of course. We've got Quinn Tupaia. We've got Billy Proctor. Yay, Billy Proctor's in there. Let's hope he gets some quality game time. And we've got Tavatavana Nuai as well. And, well, he didn't get too much game time against France, but maybe he's going to be used against Argentina. We'll have to wait and see. The jury's out on him as far as I'm concerned still, because I haven't just seen him have enough games for the All Blacks and really make a difference. So let's hope he gets an opportunity in Argentina to show what he's got. So there we go. Strong midfield. Are they world class? Well, probably Geordie Barrett is. The rest though, few question marks for me remain. And as I always keep saying, moving towards 2027, is this the right group of players the All Blacks are going to promote in the midfield? We have to wait and see. And the same could be said for the outside backs for the Kiwis. So let's have a look at what they've done here. We've got Rico Ioane. You all know what I feel about that. Caleb Clark, who's in the squad, but he won't be travelling to Argentina. So he's another one with a longer term question mark next to his name. We've got Sevu Roos. We've got Roni Narawa, who's come in, and I want to see him get some quality game time. Will Jordan, of course, and Ruben Love. Now, whether or not Ruben Love could be used at that 10 pivot at times in different games, we'll have to wait and see. For instance, if Beauden Barrett is not good to go in Argentina, or if they want him to come in the second game, we might see Ruben Love starting at number 10. I hope so. I really want to see Ruben Love develop in that number 10 jersey, and maybe he is the answer as we head towards the 2027 Rugby World Cup. So, again, on the outside backs, if we're talking about who stands out as being world class, well, it's probably Will Jordan, isn't it? And probably Ruben Love at this stage. The others I'm not too sure of. I've got some major question marks over them, and I'm going to be watching them all very closely throughout this Rugby Championship to see how they go against what I consider to be world-class opposition in some of the other teams. Okay, let's move on to the injury cover, because this is an important part of the All Black team these days. They seem to be a walking wounded in a number of different areas, so Scott Robertson had to make sure he's got sufficient cover when it comes to some of these players that have got asterisks next to their name. So going through the list, we've got George Bauer, who's going to cover the propping position. We've got Mafalu, who of course is another prop. Then we've got Josh Lord, who's going to be covering the locking position. We've got Finlay Christie, who's going to be called up to cover the halfback position. And you know, I talked a lot about Finlay Christie around the 2023 Rugby World Cup time. You heard my opinions on that. He's not the guy, in my opinion, at all to be in this All Black team. He's too slow from the base of the ruck and the scrum. He telegraphs his passes, and it gives the rush defences we're seeing across the world at the moment too much time to get up and put pressure on the All Blacks. So going to be very interesting to see if Finlay Christie does play and what problems that particularly leads to for this All Black team. And then we're going to see Kyle Preston. Yes, very, very good player, a new halfback that's coming on the scene, been playing very, very well. I like this guy. This is the sort of guy I'd like to see promoted. He's got a very good kick on him as well, so kicking game is important now that we're potentially losing Roygaard for a while. And I think Kyle Preston is the guy, so I would definitely elevate him over Finlay Christie. Give him a chance in Argentina and see how he goes. Let him step up to the plate and have a fair dinkum go at this with the All Blacks. So good pick as far as I'm concerned in putting Kyle Preston there. And then the last injury cover player we're going to see is Leroy Carter, a player that a lot of us have been wanting to see in an All Black jersey, and now he's hopefully going to get his opportunity in covering the outside back position. So he is a utility player, very good indeed, very good in the defensive line, and can't wait to see Leroy Carter getting an opportunity, hopefully. But of course, we don't want to see any more injuries for the All Blacks, so these guys are there to cover those positions. So there we go, that's the All Black squad that's going to start the Rugby Championship and the cover positions that are in call. We don't know how some of these injuries are progressing, so when it comes time to naming that team to play against Argentina and Cordoba in the 16th of August, it's going to probably be a bit of a surprise in a couple of positions for you and for me, and that's what we're looking forward to. The All Blacks are going to travel to Argentina on August the 8th. They'll get themselves acclimatized and ready to go in that first test, and Argentina are going to be on their mettle for sure to try and take the All Blacks down at home in that first round of the Rugby Championship competition. So I'm going to be putting out another video soon that you might want to watch out for. It's about some of the influential players in each of the teams in this year's Rugby Championship. I gave myself a bit of a challenge. I decided to pick one forward and one back from each team who I think could make a massive impact on this year's championship. So stay tuned to watch that video coming up soon. So there you go. I think it's a really good All Black squad. Now, who's going to be the team named in that first test match? That's going to tell us a lot about how Razor's going to manage the squad throughout the Rugby Championship, and it's also going to tell us a little bit more about these injuries and how fast they are progressing. Let me know in the comments what you think about all these positions. Who stands out for you? Who's been missed out that you would like to see in this team? There's no Christian Leo Woolley. Was that one of the surprises in your opinion? I'd like to hear from you on that one. Okay, thanks very much for watching my video again here on Inside Rugby with Mark. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. If you've enjoyed this content today, give it a like and a thumbs up. And thank you very much for following me on Twitter as well. I'll be back again really soon from here in beautiful Cancun, Mexico, with some more rugby news from across the world. Until then, it's time to say adios, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye for now.